Feliz Navidad, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from Kiss.
Feliz Navidad, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas from Kiss.
Ho, ho, ho! I'm wishing everybody a really Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year.
Someone stole Santa? That does not rock!
What's going on, vinyl community? Welcome to another episode of 25 Days of KISSmas, where every day leading up to KISSmas, I will be reviewing and discussing every Kiss studio album, plus more. For the 8th episode, I will be reviewing the Gene Simmons solo album from 1978. Gene has always been a prolific writer and had demoed a bunch of material as far back as the late 60s, some of which became or evolved into Kiss classics, and some that just didn't fit the Kiss mold, so ideally one would set aside that stuff for a solo album, and the end result showcases a rather different side of the demon. So let's dig into the album. Side 1, Track 1, Radioactive. The intro to this song perfectly sets the tone for what you would expect from a solo album from the Demon. A deep, maniacal laughter, a string/brass arrangement that sounds like the theme of Jaws meets The Exorcist, with a Latin chorus line sung by Janis Ian. It sounds like you are descending into hell. And then the song kicks in, and it's a piece that evolved from a demo called Penny Arcade. Gene was going to give the song to Jerry Lee Lewis to sing, since he was in negotiations for producing him, so there's that pulsating piano part that really drives the tune. Joe Perry of Aerosmith plays guitar during the choruses, and Bob Seger also sings backup on this track. This song, minus the demonic intro, was released as the single from the album and was performed by Kiss on the Dynasty Tour. Track 2, Burning Up with Fever. A shouted count-off from Gene and a classical guitar segue signals the intro to this tune, which was first demoed as far back as 1975. What's notable about the backing vocals on this tune is that they were done by Donna Summer, who was also a part of the Casablanca roster at the time. Track 3, See You Tonight. Here is one of Gene's most Lennon-McCartney influenced tunes, and is very much in line with a lot of the stuff that he was writing in the early part of his career, which was very melodically driven. Gene and the rest of the band must have thought a lot of the song, since it was pulled out for their MTV Unplugged performance in 1995, and on a personal note, it is one of my all-time favorite Gene penned songs. Track 4, Tunnel of Love. This is a song that was a product of the lyrics for the bridge of the original version of Man of a Thousand Faces. Some of those lyrics were also used in Got Love for Sale on the Love Gun album, so it dates back to around early 1977, and it was considered back then for the album. Joe Perry is stated to appear on the track contributing guitar, along with Donna Summer on backing vocals. Track 5, True Confessions. Here is another track that dates back to around 1975, and ironically, it has some backing vocals from Australian pop artist and feminist icon Helen Reddy. Now we're going to flip the album over to Side 2, Track 6, Living in Sin. Here is a unique collaboration between Gene, Sean Delaney, and Howard Marks, who was one of Kiss's business managers at the time. This originated from a demo called I Know Who You Are, and the title of the song was shortened from Living in Sin at the Holiday Inn, which can only be about the obvious. Gene's then-girlfriend Cher makes an appearance in with the hysterical phone call during the middle break of the song. Track 7, Always Near You / Nowhere to Run. This is another track that shows Gene's more melodic Beatles / Lennon-McCartney influences, and to tie it all in, Mitch Wiseman and Joe Pecorino of the Broadway show Beatlemania sang backing vocals on it. Gene apparently tried to get John Lennon and Paul McCartney in to sing, but this was the next best option. Now, obviously, this is a mesh of the two songs together, and the Always Near You section is the Beatles-sounding one, and then about halfway through the song shifts into Nowhere to Run, which is distinguished with the vocals by the Citrus College Singers. Track 8, Man of a Thousand Faces. Before the marketing of the solo albums came into play, this was going to be the title track of Gene's album, and it was also the name of his entertainment company. This song was written as a tribute to Lon Chaney, who was one of Gene's cinema heroes, whose work inspired his demon persona, and it can also be seen as an introspective view into Gene as an artist, where the masses knew him for being the demon as one face. The multifaceted nature of this album is just another one of the 1,000 faces for Gene to have. Track 9, Mr. Make-Believe. Another great melodic track where I think Gene wrote this for the demon persona and a reflective viewpoint. Here is Gene the artist himself singing to his alter ego that he steps into when it comes to being in character. It's a rather universal concept that can be related to each member of the band. It's kind of the way I see it. Track 10, See You in Your Dreams. Here is a re-recording of the track that appeared on the Rock and Roll Over album. The Kiss version wasn't quite up to Gene's liking, so he had a stab at redoing it. It does feature a couple extra lines in the second verse, which does make it distinguished. Rick Nielsen of Cheap Trick contributes some guitar work, and Michael DeBar contributes some backing vocals. Track 11, When You Wish Upon a Star. This song has a true special place in Gene's heart, where he had told the story of coming to America from Israel and not understanding the English language, but upon hearing this song in the Pinocchio film, it resonated with him in the whole ideology that anything is possible in life and anybody can be a recipient of life's awards. It must truly mean something to Gene to where his voice cracks towards the end, being overcome in emotion, which does indeed make this song the most heartfelt and genuine performance Gene has ever given on record, but it is indeed very out of character for the demon. As for where this album stands in my solo albums ranking, I would put Gene's album at the number 3 spot. As you can tell with the breakdown of each track on this album, Gene did have an interesting cast of characters guest appearing on the album, which makes it fascinating to see who does what. And while a Kiss fan may have expected an album with material like Almost Human and God of Thunder, which are very much in line with the demon persona, this album gives Gene a chance to air out the material that he had amassed that didn't quite fit the Kiss mold. And as for someone like myself who loves the Beatles and can appreciate his homage to his melodic influences, I can appreciate this album very much, but to a small degree because it is very un-Kiss-like. So there you guys go. That is the 8th episode of the 25 Days of KISSmas series. Stay tuned tomorrow for the 9th episode, and you can already guess what comes next. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.
Treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow.